everybody, it's Aubrey from the future. Before we get into today's episode, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the recent passing of Chef Anne Burrell. We mention her a little bit at the end of this episode and talk a little bit more about her in episode 2. Obviously, we recorded these episodes prior to her passing, and Mackenna and I both just want to say that we really admire her energy, talent, and the impact that she had on the culinary world. She was really a true original, and I don't think that we will ever see somebody like her on the Food Network again, and I think that that's a real shame. So from us here at Informed Attraction, we do just want to say R.I.P. Anne Burrell. Our thoughts are with her friends, family, and all of her fans. Cue the episode.
I've been watching the 4th season of Hacks, which isn't really a comedy anymore. It's like a drama where they do jokes sometimes. But anyway, there's this episode early on where they're at this party, like a fancy house, and they're talking about something, and Family Guy gets brought up, and Kayla, who used to be an assistant and now isn't, is like, well, that guy Brian is really hot.
Come on.
And one of the other characters is like, isn't Brian a dog? And Kayla's like, whatever. And I was like, it's all Family Guy all the time, baby.
I have not seen Hacks. One of my coworkers and my boss really like Hacks, and they talk about it sometimes.
I think if you watched Hacks, you would understand exactly what I would have been like had I gone to college in California. Because I deeply believe had I gone to school in California instead of Ohio, I probably would have tried to be a TV writer and been sad and miserable the way that Ava is for most of Hacks. So she's also just very similar to me.
Well, I guess it's for the best, because instead of being a TV writer, you're recording a podcast! Welcome to Informed Attraction, a podcast hosted by one baked cacio e pepe and one cuttlefish, a podcast about how sometimes we have to chop the ones we love. I'm Dr. Aubrey Hoffer.
I'm Mackenna Goodrich, and I am in shock at how fast we got through that intro. You just have to, cut 10 minutes at the top.
Well, I just felt like that was such a good place to transition.
Yeah, it was a great place to transition. Yeah. I loved it. Nice and snappy, snippy, snoopy.
Well, this is an episode that I'm anticipating could be upwards of 4 hours, so...
What? What are we going to talk about for 4 hours?
You underestimate how much I want to talk about the host of Chopped.
Ted Allen?
Ted is not... Oh, Ted is the host of Chopped. I meant the Chopped judges. I apologize.
Oh, okay. I was like, how are we going to talk about Ted for that long? Love him, but...
Ted Allen does get brief mentions in this. You know what's interesting is I didn't realize that Ted Allen got his start from Queer Eye until the new Queer Eye came out, and I was like, oh, who was on the original Queer Eye? I was like, all right, gay man I don't know, Ted Allen!
Well, yeah, and also, so the whole way that Anthony got onto the new series of Queer Eye is because he was Ted's assistant.
I feel like that just makes all the sense about how Anthony was always clowned for never actually cooking anything, when Ted Allen also, he just looks at the food.
Yeah, the whole vibe is sort of like, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to not eat garbage all the time. Here's a vegetable.
There's an episode of Guy's Grocery Games where Ted Allen is a guest judge, and it fills me with joy because he actually gets to eat.
Hey, good for Ted. Love that king.
Yeah. This is an episode about the sexual politics of the Food Network. The question that sort of prompted this series was, this idea that generally you have to be hot to be on television, and I think that the Food Network is no different in that regard. But because the talent of the Food Network comes from people who have actual culinary experience rather than just acting backgrounds, you have this different range of hotness that can exist. I've been a Food Network stan for my entire life. It was pretty much on TV constantly throughout my upbringing. My mom was a ginormous Rachel Ray fan, and I have continued that lineage as I am currently subscribed to Food Network magazine, and I get so excited to get it in the mail every month.
My House Was a Place Where Food Network was also very important, especially Emerald Lagasse. My little brother was Emerald for Halloween one year. Very cute.
I lived in the house that Emerald built. There were recipes that my family still cooks today that are from Emerald. Emerald pies are something that my family makes, which are basically, they're sort of like empanadas with like a Cajun-y filling, and they're called Emerald pies because they're a recipe that my mom got from Emerald Lagasse.
Bam! I love that.
That's why, we don't have our little titles, but when I thought we were recording on Podcastle, my little name was going to be Bam!
I'll see if I can try to find the picture of Trey in the little Emerald outfit, because also it's funny to look at my tiny little brother, because now he's a gigantic man.
So I think the sexual politics of the Food Network are interesting to me because I think that the network as a whole, people generally consider it to be feminine, but about 58% of its viewers are women, and that feels a lot more gender integrated to me. Growing up, my dad was just as into the Food Network as my mom, particularly with what's described as their evening block of programming. You know, my dad comes home from work, he sees what's on Food Network, they watch Food Network all night. And I think that that's intentional, right? Like, women on the Food Network aren't meant to be competition for female viewers. They're meant to be a proxy for them. Whereas the men are treated with more, like, gravitas. There's more, like, this idea that these men on the Food Network are experts in their field. And I think that this is evident even in the way they present, where I think a lot of women in the Food Network are styled in a way that's really down to earth, whereas the men all kind of slay. There's a very metrosexual leaning of the men of the Food Network, with one notable exception, who will be the topic of, our next episode.
Oh, I'm realizing we're gonna have to talk about Bobby Flay.
Oh, don't worry. I've kept my mentions of him short. There's basically no reason we need to mention Bobby Flay. I will say I have a deep hatred toward Bobby Flay that has no real explanation. However,
I also think that, like, there's a whole thing about that I find so funny about there being a show called Beat Bobby Flay. Because obviously the conceit of the show, it's like chefs competing against Bobby Flay, or competing against each other so they can then compete against Bobby Flay. But I think it taps into this primal desire to just physically beat Bobby Flay. I don't know. I just find him so...
Want to know the stupidest joke that me and my husband have about the show Beat Bobby Flay?
Yes, of course I do.
So the show is Beat Bobby Flay, and in the show at the beginning, Bobby Flay always says, to get to me, first they have to get through each other. And
That's
so Josh always jokes that there should be a porn parody of Beat Bobby Flay called Beat Off Bobby Flay. And then instead he says, to get to me, first they have to run through each other.
I love that.
Bobby Flay is hot.
Oh my god.
He's hot. He's objectively hot. Do you know the conspiracy that who is it? I think like January Jones's baby daddy?
I've heard this lore before.
That baby looks like him.
I just think there's something about him that just makes me so tired. Like, I was sitting here and you were doing your intro, and then I was like, la 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 la, Emerald Lagasse, the men on the Food Network, and then Bobby Flay entered my mind, and I immediately felt my energy just seep out. He's like what are they? The energy vampires from What We Do in the Shadows, except for he's like a handsome, charismatic dude. I don't know. It's just a vibe.
I think Bobby Flay, because here's the thing, Bobby Flay fucks.
Yeah.
Bobby Flay, like, I think that Bobby Flay is actually probably very charming and fun to be around.
I feel like he would be mean to me, perhaps, but...
We had a conversation like this about someone else and had the exact opposite reactions, and I was like, it's because he'd be nice to you, but he'd be mean to me because I'm ugly. Oh, it was about Timothy Chalamet.
I am the Timothy Chalamet defender in chat. It gets harder every day. It's so tough.
He would be mean to me because he would not find me fuckable, and I know this.
That's true. In the world post that Brittany Broski interview where he's clearly in love with her.
Bobby Flay, I don't think that he would try to fuck me, but I think he'd be very charming and nice to me.
I think he might objectify me a little bit, but, you win some, you lose some.
Hey, Bobby Flay, come on this podcast.
No!
and we'll catch the vibe.
All right.
So
I would love to have Ina Garten on the podcast. That'd be so fun.
Contessa, please come on this fucking podcast. All I want is to talk to Ina Garten for 3 minutes.
I'd love that.
I think it would heal me. I think that I would be forever changed. I have real tears in my eyes right now just thinking about Ina Garten. I find her, she is low-key a body positivity icon for me. She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's the girl all the guys want. And she's thick as hell.
I directed a play about her being in a throuple.
Yeah. My dad's celebrity crush is Martha Stewart.
You know what's funny? I also did have, like, a young, like, someone around my age, young man, be like, Martha Stewart is the hottest person on the Food Network to me recently. So, you know what? Maybe Jodie's onto something.
So one of the earliest shows I remember catching my attention on the Food Network is Chopped, which is going to be the relevant subject of today's episode. Despite the fact that this is a podcast about the media and attractiveness, today we're going to lean heavy onto the media side and media history side while I explain the origins of what the Food Network is, some of its early programming, and really the eras of the Food Network.
And I'm here to do jokes, as per usual.
So in my mind, there are 3 main eras of the Food Network: the origins, BG, and AD. That stands for Origins, Before Guy, and After Diners. Today, we're going to go in chronological order, and we're going to work through the origins of the Food Network, the early rise, and end with a discussion of, you know, the BG era, which I think can also be called the Chopped era.
That's interesting. I guess I feel like those were on at the same time, but...
No, Chopped started in... Let me see, because I have my handy-dandy timeline
Ooh
here.
la la, she prepared today.
So, Guy starts Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives in 2007, and Chopped starts in 2009, but the argument that I'm going to make is that I think that the late 2000s era is really defined by Chopped aesthetic, and Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives was kind of like something fun on the side, but then once we start to get into the 2010s, we just see this wave of love for diners, this wave of, you know, with the emergence of Guy's Groceries games, Guy Fieri hosts Minute to Win It, which is like a cable, like, game show on another major network, so...
I guess I did not remember that Guy Fieri hosted Minute to Win It, and I vividly remember Minute to Win It and its influence on, like, field day in junior high.
Yeah, and then basically returning to the Food Network to be the king of the Food Network, which I think he basically has remained. So that's kind of my argument of separating it, where even though Guy was on the Food Network before Chopped, I think that his real rise on the Food Network was not until several years into Diners.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
So the Food Network is an American basic cable channel owned by Television Food Network GP, a unit of Warner Brothers Discovery, who manages and operates a division of the Warner Brothers Discovery US Networks Group. Yes, all of that information is going to be relevant later today.
And I will retain none of it.
The channel airs both special and regular episodic programs about food and cooking. Their main headquarters is located in New York City, but they also have offices in Atlanta, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Detroit, Jersey City, Cincinnati, and Knoxville.
That's a lot of offices. Oh my god.
Yeah, the Food Network is an empire. So, I want you to guess for me, when do you think the Food Network was established?
I don't know, like 1996?
Okay, that was actually right on the fucking money.
I'm so smart and good at things.
So the Food Network is established on November 23rd, 1993 as the TV Food Network, but on April 1st, 1996, it adopts its current name. Basically, when it premieres, the Food Network trademark was already taken by a newsletter called the Food Network, but then in 1996, they're just more popular or more wealthy, I guess, and so for whatever reason, they're able to take the name. So,
Sure.
I was born April 8th of 1996, so I am essentially only 1 week younger than the Food Network as we
Aubrey's
know
been
it.
the Food Network this whole time.
I thought that the Food Network was ancient. I genuinely thought the Food Network had existed in some iteration since the 1960s. I'll explain later, I think, what justifies why I thought that, but I had assumed that it was an ancient entity.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I think, like, the reason I guess 90s is because it felt like this rise of, like, not reality TV, but, like, reality-based TV. Aubrey made an assumption that the cooking would have come around in the 60s because of traditional values. Women should only be in the home. More fodder for the Aubrey is conservative bit.
You got me. You know, after what I said, RFK came into my house and he put some of the brain worms in my head. So now I am fully indoctrinated into my beliefs. Women should actually be at home. In 2018, the Food Network was acquired by Scripps Network Interactive, who later merged with Discovery Inc., and then Warner Media is merged with Discovery Inc. to form Warner Brothers Discovery. This is all sort of a long-winded way of saying this is why Food Network stuff is on HBO Max now, because
Yeah, but also a lot of it isn't. I was in the middle of watching Chopped for this series when it all got taken away from me. I was so furious. I was like balls deep in Chopped. And then Max was like, no. You have to watch random seasons on Hulu now if you want to feel anything.
I'm just going to keep calling it HBO Go. I never got over that.
Oh, yeah, because now they're like, whatever, they're rebranding their rebrand.
So we're going to get into the Food Network lore. So in 1990, Providence Journal Company president Trig Mirren was attempting... His name is Trig Mirren. And
a man named Trig is just absolutely unhinged and the most New England coastal elite thing.
It's spelled Trygne.
Wait, okay.
He's white, so it sounds...
Okay, maybe it's like Scandinavian or something. I was imagining like Trygg.
Yeah, I think it sounds like it's like a Norse name, so...
Great.
Trygve.
I'm gonna look it up.
Also, I listened to one interview with him, and...
Apparently it's a common Norwegian name.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if he's from Norway. I watched one interview with him, and the interviewer referred to him as Trig Mirren, and he was not corrected, so that's what I'm going with pronunciation. So basically, Trig Mirren is the president of the Providence Journal Company, and he wants to grow the company, and he decides that basic cable programming is an area of high growth, and cable companies are starting to expand their overall channel capacities. There's a ton of basic cable channels at the time, and Mirren's like, well, I want to do something different. So he decides to focus on a channel dedicated to food. The network's working name was the Cooking Channel up until their final launch. There is a cooking channel that exists. It is a spin-off of the Food Network, and it's really weird, I will explain more about it down the timeline, because basically the Cooking Channel exists because of the recession. It's convoluted, yes.
What recession are you referring to, Aubrey?
Oh, the, 2000s recession. The one that we were children for. So, Mirren hires Stephen Cunningham and Reese Sconfeld, who is the co-founder of CNN, to help him found the channel.
Woke liberals in my Food Network.
Mirren originally wants to operate the channel from Providence, Rhode Island, as he argues that the cost would be much more scalable from a lower profile location, and Sconfield is like, no, we should really have this in New York, because this is the nucleus of the culinary world. Eventually, Sconfeld wins out, and this is what makes Cunningham separate from the venture entirely, and he yeets himself at this point.
I mean, listen, I don't know much about the food scene in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong that, like, this is, of at least America, this is where, like, all the fancy chefs and things are. I've heard arguments that, like, food is better in, like, New Orleans, and, like, I don't know, I've never been there, but I understand the argument for wanting it to be in New York. Okay, all right.
So, on November 23rd, 1993, the Food Network begins live broadcasting. The original lineup for the network includes Emeril Lagasse, Debbie Fields, Donna Hanover, David Rosengarten, Curtis Akins, Dr. Louis Aron, Jacques Pepin, and Robin Leach. The following year, the network acquired the rights to the Julia Child Library, and that's why I thought the Food Network was a lot older, because I think that I have, like, core memories of seeing Julia Child reruns on the Food Network, and I just thought because it's an old show that it must just be an ancient network, but they just had the rights to air Julia Child stuff.
I 100% heard of Julia Child through Julie and Julia.
So my thought on the movie Julie and Julia is that it is such a good Julia Child movie, and then the Amy Adams parts are so stupid.
Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of half-baked. I don't really remember it except for the part where she's trying to do the thing with the duck, and also that her boyfriend is... I can't remember if he's cool or if he's lame like the boyfriend in Devil Wears Prada. I can't think of the actor who plays her boyfriend, though. And it's driving me insane, and I could just look it up, but...
I love him. I know exactly who you're talking about. He's that, like, Italian guy with the thick eyebrows. I feel like he always plays cops now.
Oh, it's Chris Messina. I think the last thing I saw him was the
Chris
Mindy
Messina.
Project.
He's sexy.
Yeah, his character in the Mindy Project is, like, sort of evil, and you're supposed to be rooting for them to end up together.
No, he always plays stupid guys, but he's really hot and seems like he's really chill.
Also, Stanley Tucci is so sexy.
Stanley Tucci's so hot in that movie. We'll do a hot bald guy episode at some point and talk about Stanley Tucci.
I feel like he deserves his own episode to get into, like, why every woman is attracted to Stanley Tucci.
Well, but that's why he can be a subject of discussion.
All right.
Okay, you know what? We can do a whole... If you're interested in a long-form series about the extended Tucciverse, send us an email, informedattraction@gmail.com.
Yay! Hey, we've gotten an email and it was really exciting, so please send us more emails. I like reading them.
That'll be our Patreon content, is just 28 episodes of...
I'll watch literally every single Stanley Tucci movie. Do not tempt me. I watched every single Daniel Day-Lewis movie once. I will watch every single Stanley Tucci movie and talk about them.
Yeah.
Love that man. He's so cool. And again, he is like, I think everyone across the generations finds that man attractive.
He's got an allure.
He does. And everyone can pick up on it.
He's hot.
Everyone's in it for the Tooch. No one's excluded from this party. Anyone can come to the Tucci party. Everyone come over and we'll watch every single Stanley Tucci movie, okay?
So, in 1995, Mario Batali and Bobby Flay joined the network. Enemy of the podcast, Bobby Flay.
I feel like at this point we should say Mario Batali is the enemy of the pod, not Bobby Flay.
I don't know anything about Mario Batali. Oh, is he super abusive? I think I do know
Oh my god,
this.
yeah. He like had a bunch of sexual assault allegations and a bunch of his like restaurants closed down, Food Network separated from him.
Oh, I do know of this.
Yeah, it's like a big deal. I mean, I don't know if he like founded Italy or just had like did the restaurants in there, but it was like, I remember when it happened because it was like, Mario Batali, and it was one of those situations where I think the allegations just kept coming, like more and more people kept coming forward, and I don't know, I feel like that actually is almost one of the strongest examples of like when the Me Too movement worked, because I have not seen the evidence of like him trying to make a comeback, and it was I think pretty swift, but you know, I'm obviously looking back on this from my perspective now, but I just feel like a lot of people who like got canceled either were able to come back or tried to make a comeback at least, and I don't feel like he has. I'm gonna eat my words when like a week from now he launched a new restaurant. Mm-hmm. He like had steak in Italy. Do you know what Italy is? It's like a big Italian food marketplace in New York?
In Vegas, too.
Okay. Yeah. So he was, sold his stakes in that, and he was the first chef to, like, give up all of his ownership after he was reported to do all of this sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, it wasn't just, like, one allegation. Like I said, it was, like, they kept piling on.
Yeah. Friend of the podcast, Adam Ragusia, we don't know Adam Ragusia, I just love his YouTube channel, did a great video about Mario Batali and his legacy and consuming content about problematic people that I very much enjoyed. But yeah, so okay, Mario Batali, on site, enemy of the podcast, death to Mario Batali. Bobby Flay, I'm not going to call him an enemy. There's really nothing we have against Bobby Flay other than Mackenna doesn't like the cut of his jib.
I'm sorry for not liking your vibes, Bobby Flay, okay?
I'm much more open. Bobby, come on the podcast.
Fine, whatever.
But first, to get to me, you got to get through Mackenna.
I'm just going to be mean to him the whole time, but that's okay. I'll neg Bobby Flay.
In 1996, Erica Gruen was hired as the president and CEO of TV Food Network, becoming the second woman in history to be the CEO of a U.S. television network.
Oh, good for her. Girl boss.
Yeah, girl boss?
Girl boss?
And this is really important. This is the same year that the TV portion of the name was dropped and it officially becomes the Food Network.
Slay.
Erica Gruen does a ton of stuff that becomes formative for the network. So she creates Emerald Live, which becomes the signature series of the channel. As I said, my parents fucking love Emerald. This was the show my parents watched all the time. So
yeah, my parents did too. I feel like it was, I don't know, it was like family event to watch Emerald. Like I said, they put their child in a Halloween costume that was Emerald themed. Everyone loves Emerald Lagasse. Maybe Gen X people love Emerald Lagasse. Wait, are your parents Gen X? Or are they boomers?
My dad is the last year of boomer.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I guess that makes sense.
Just like how I'm the last year of millennial. My parents were born in 1964 and 1967.
Oh, I think my parents were born in like 1965 and 1968, actually.
Okay. But the gap is huge.
The difference between boomer and Gen X is a wild time. It's the difference between me never having said awesome sauce and you obviously having said it because you're a stupid millennial.
Awesome sauce. So in 1997, Food Network is the second fastest growing cable network. Basically, Gruen leads the network into explosive growth and launches the largest website for food, foodnetwork.com, more than doubling the subscriber base, tripling the viewership, and multiplying the network's yearly revenue. Essentially what
Okay, so actually on God, girl boss then.
The girls are hungry.
Hey, girls gotta eat. I love to eat. I went on a date this week and I was munching on a burger and I'll be the one eating on a date.
Yes. Essentially what Gruen does that is so innovative is that the original pitch from Schonfeld is the Food Network is TV for people who cook. And Gruen is like, this is TV for everyone who loves to eat. And that really improves the appeal to both viewers and advertisers. Essentially, before Gruen comes in, the network is on the brink of bankruptcy, and within a year of her coming in and making these changes, it is one of the most profitable networks on television.
I'm sure you're gonna get into this, but I feel like that is such like the demarcation line between like the daytime cooking stuff and then the nighttime, like, you just want to watch them make weird shit with basket ingredients, because that's more about loving food than, like, the process of cooking. This is a tangent, but do you know if the Food Network came before or after TLC?
I would probably say, if I had to guess right now, I would think that the Food Network probably predates it.
Yeah.
At least if we're talking about, like, the version of TLC that we know now with the kind of programming it does now. Because TLC, I think, was originally the learning channel and had, like, educational content.
Yeah, no, it totally was. But I just know that they're all owned by the same thing now because all of their, like, TLC's content, I don't know if it also all got ripped from the universe, like the Thanos snap by Max, but it certainly was on there, but I don't know if it's still on there. I just love TLC. I was a What Not to Wear guy. That was the other, like, big peg that was my other thing that my mom loved was What Not to Wear.
And also, this was a period when reality TV was really starting to boom and people realized how profitable it could be.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would love to watch more Say Yes to the Dress. That would be great for me.
I never watched What Not to Wear.
That's okay. We should talk about it at some point, though, because, like, some of their takes were absolutely unhinged looking back on them now.
I don't doubt it. I mean, my mom was not really into shows like that. Basically, my mom was really into the Food Network, Judge Judy.
Oh my God.
And E! News.
Yeah, my mom watched soap operas sometimes during the day and, like, procedural shows at night, and then mixed in there was the Food Network and TLC, and that was the Peg special.
I thought she was crying at me, but I think that much like a mother her nipples lactate when she hears her baby cry, I have a physiological response when I think Butter is crying.
I'm sorry, what? Aubrey, that's the scariest thing you've ever said to me. That's horrific.
So you don't love them?
I love my cats. I love my dogs. I do not think I have a physiological response to, like, a spidey sense.
I would literally breastfeed Butters if I could.
What? Oh my God. Jesus Christ, Aubrey. Okay, sure. Have fun, I guess. What? Dude, that's crazy, man. Fuck. That is actually the most millennial thing you've ever said, is that you would breastfeed your dog.
You're just afraid of a mother's love.
No, I'm not. I'm actually good on breastfeeding, is what I'll say. Doing it or being the one who...
That's my child who I birthed.
I don't know how it's going to work out for you to breastfeed Butter. But I just don't know how it's going to work out for you to breastfeed Butters.
So Food Network programming is divided into
transition.
a daytime block known as Food Network in the Kitchen and a primetime lineup that's branded as Food Network Nighttime.
Food Network After Dark, because it's sexy now.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I mean, Chopped is a sensual experience.
Chopped is, hey, we're going to talk about this later, but like there's a bunch of friggin' hot people on Chopped. Chopped is a sexy experience. Chopped is a sexy experience. Yes. And I think that there's something about, like, the adrenaline and danger of the basket. Do you ever think about the fact that, like, Chop might just be a form of, like, sadomasochistic kink play?
A form of it, certainly.
Do you know what gooning is?
I think, I'm a little unclear on it myself. I think that it's just like jerking off.
It's one of those words that I keep hearing online and I refuse to look up, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know what gooning means. I won't do it. I'm not a rude gooner.
So gooning is just edging.
Okay.
I think. Or gooning a completely uninhibited masturbation.
So you're just straight jorking it for as long as possible.
So it's just like jorking it, but like when you're like really feeling it.
Okay. We have to have a word for that now? Just do it, you cowards.
So generally in the kitchen is dedicated to instruction.
Once again, an absolutely unhinged transition, Aubrey. I feel like, to go back to my whole point about maybe a Chop being a sadomasochistic experience, wouldn't it be fun if there was like a sexual version of it? Like a 50 Shades of Grey, but it's chopped?
Oh my god, that is so true. I have a firm image in my mind of who is my Christian Grey on Chopped.
I did not read it, but I did stumble upon the fan fiction that 50 Shades of Grey was based on, the Bella Edward fan fiction before it became 50 Shades of Grey on the internet as a young precocious child.
I mean, you just know everything before it becomes popular.
I did read later Twilight sexy fan fictions, but not that one.
So In the Kitchen is dedicated to instructional cooking programs, while Nighttime features food-related entertainment programs like cooking competitions, food and travel shows, and reality shows. So, In the Kitchen is what you see during a weekday if you turn on Food Network. That's stuff like The Pioneer Woman or Barefoot Contessa or Ina. Yes, Ina. And then Nighttime is where you start to get into, like, your diners, drive-ins, and dives, your Chopped, and your reality shows. There are always promos for Food Network Nighttime, but not for In the Kitchen programming. So you will see Food Network promos for things like Guys Grocery Games or Spring Baking Championship, but you don't see promos for things like Pioneer Woman.
My mom watched a lot of Pioneer Woman growing up, too.
My mom was a big Paula Deen fan, who we're about to talk about.
I forgot about Paula.
Many of the channel's personalities routinely pull double duty or more, where they host both daytime and nighttime programming, and the channel regularly offers specials which typically follow either its personalities on working vacations or bringing together a number of personalities for a themed cooking event. I actually didn't get into how much people on the Food Network are paid. That might be something that I research between now and the next episode, because I'm sure it is not consistent, but it sounds like a lot of the people who are working for the Food Network are doing it all day, every day. So in 2002, the Food Network made an appeal to the home cook by adding Paula's Home Cooking, hosted by Paula Deen. My mom loves Rachel Ray. My mom loved Paula Deen. One of the things that makes me so depressed.
Aubrey, did Paula Deen do something racist or something?
Yes, she did. And we're going to get into Paula Deen's downfall in the next episode, because basically the downfall of Paula Deen is what makes the Food Network go into a power vacuum where they need to find a new main personality, which allows Guy Fieri to rise to the top.
Oh. I also did know that Paula Deen did something racist. I just wanted to set it up to talk about it.
One of the things that makes me sad...
Just don't want the audience to think that I didn't know that Paula Deen something racist. I did know that.
Something that I find very sad for myself personally is that one of the best recipes my mom ever made in my entire life was a cookie recipe that she got from Paula Deen. I'm sure that it was probably stolen from a black person, and I feel okay eating those cookies now. Unfortunately, Paula Deen has tarnished my favorite cookies, and for that, I will never forgive her. So, on the list of enemies of the pod, we now have Mario Batali and Paula Deen. However, I will get into the specifics of her downfall in the next episode, but for now I'll talk about her come up. So, Home Cooking, hosted by Paula Deen, was mostly focused on Southern cuisine and comfort food. The premise of the show was that she took overly complicated recipes and classic dishes and broke them down for the home cook, making them simpler, making them more accessible. The show did increasingly well, and Paula Deen revamped the show in a series called Paula's Best Dishes. In that series, she has friends and family members join her in the kitchen, and she puts a twist on classics and introduces new recipes. In the same year, Ina Garten's show Barefoot Contessa airs. Ina Garten is well known for cookbooks, including the Barefoot Contessa cookbook, Barefoot Contessa Family Style, and Barefoot Contessa in Paris. Ina Garten was mentored by Martha Stewart. I think she's better than Martha Stewart, if I'm being completely real. Garten's show features her cooking for her husband. I was waiting for you to interrupt with his name.
Oh, it's Robert. No, what is it?
It's Jeffrey.
Oh, it's Jeffrey, you're right. The problem is now I directed this play. Okay, I directed this play about Ina Garten being in a throuple, and in that his name is Roger, and it's really ruined my whole brain.
So Garten's show features her cooking for her husband Jeffrey. Or hosting friends at their home in the Hamptons. Barefoot Contessa typically has about 1 million viewers per episode, and it has received some of the highest ratings for the Food Network.
I do feel like all of the daytime shows, in a lot of ways, are like basically the same show, but for different areas of the country. Like, yeah. Because you have the Pioneer Woman, who is sort of like the plains, and then you have like down south Paula Deen, and then you have comforting cool aunt in the Hamptons, Ina Garten.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's on the money, right? Because this is like the daytime programming that's happening during the week. So for people who do not work during the working day. So typically that's going to look like either stay-at-home moms who are staying at home and probably lower or middle class, or stay-at-home moms who are rich as shit. So,
Aubrey.
Huh?
Oh, are we ignoring the existence of stay-at-home dads here? Or stay-at-home other caregivers?
But where is their Food Network representation in the daytime block?
They don't have any. And that's a problem that we need to ameliorate. And that's why today I'm announcing that our friend Bryce DeLulo will be doing Cooking with the Boys, a daytime cooking show on Food Network where he shows you how to make everyone's favorite dishes.
I mean, I take this back a little bit because I know that Bobby Flay has some daytime instructional shows, because he has one that's like grilling in my yard.
That's true. He does have he has a show for boys.
Yeah, because it's about grilling, because men can grill.
So Bryce is going to have to beat Bobby Flay.
But first he's going to have to get through us. So also in 2002, because this is the post 9/11 Food Network was just popping off. So Cooking Channel. I'm just saying a lot of things. McKenna's like, I don't know. I
don't know what this has to do with 9/11, but sure.
It was a year before?
It was a year after.
Or, 9/11 was a year before 2002.
Okay. and that's it. It was the year 2000, 9/11, 2002.
Yes. So, Cooking Channel was launched in 2002. Cooking Channel is weird, and it's always been available to way less people than the Food Network is. So, just for context, right? As of November 2023, the Food Network is available to approximately 70 million households in the United States, which is down from its 2011 peak of being available to 100 million households. And so, for context, the Cooking Channel is currently available to approximately 34 million television households in the United States, which is down from its 2016 peak of 66 million households. In recent years, the Cooking Channel has lost carriage with the growth of streaming alternatives, including its parent company Max, and has generally been depreciated by Warner Brothers Discovery in current retransmission content negotiations with cable and streaming providers. So basically, a ton of content that comes from the Cooking Channel is just like in this weird dead zone right now. It's really similar to channels like Destination America, Discovery Family, Science Channel, Boomerang, where you had these sort of offshoot networks that were doing their own little content, and now nobody really wants them, or if they do want them, it just seems like there's a lot of weird issues with their distribution.
Why is it weird? Like, why is the Cooking Channel weird? I've never watched it.
So basically, it's like a spin-off of the Food Network, and it's like, you could compare it to like, if the Food Network is like the A-Team shows, Cooking Channel is like the B-Team shows, where it's similar concepts, but it just appears to be, I would say, lower budget and lower quality. So, like, for instance, Cooking Channel tries to do, like, some, like, travel food content, and it has shows like Carnival Eats, where, I don't know, like, they go to carnivals and try the food. My favorite show on Cooking Channel is Best Thing I Ever Ate, where basically they interview people from the Food Network and ask them about restaurants they like, and then they just showcase those restaurants. I'd imagine that this is because that kind of show is a lot cheaper to produce than probably a full-on, you know, informational cooking show or a game show. So it's kind of just weird in the sense that it's like usually features people from the Food Network, but not in like typical Food Network context.
Yeah.
It also,
I think that's tricky too, just because like since sort of the same era, because YouTube was launched in the mid 2000s, like there are some like really high quality cooking shows on YouTube now, and so it's like I feel like people are probably still reaching for Food Network first, but like I'm for me, it's like I would reach to Food Network for like recipes and stuff first, but like frankly, if I'm gonna watch content, if it's not a competition show, I'm now probably gonna reach for YouTube just because it's a little bit more accessible to me.
Right, and that's what's interesting is I would compare Cooking Channel to being more similar to content that is on YouTube now, but it's just not the direction that people are really gravitating toward with streaming stuff. Cooking Channel also was known for showcasing TV shows from like Canada and the UK. So there would be like Canadian or UK cooking shows that are technically part of Food Network, but Food Network USA isn't going to air them, so they'll air them on Cooking Channel. So that's just what gives the network kind of a weird vibe, is that it's like familiar to Food Network, but kind of a weird Twilight Zone.
It's like a little uncanny valley, where it's like just it's the Food Network but not the Food Network, but it is the Food Network because they're owned by the same people. And at that point, it's like I would want to watch something totally separate, and I'm just gonna go watch one of the 9,000 channels on YouTube that does food content.
Exactly. What is interesting with the Cooking Channel is that it's originally announced in 2001 as the Fine Living Network. So the brand was positioned toward high-income viewers with this aim of guiding them and helping them spend their free time. And it featured a mix of lifestyle and leisure-themed programming dealing with topics like travel and adventure, finance, real estate, everyday pursuits, and technology. It's pretty much a flop immediately, which is why the following year they just rebranded as the Cooking Channel. So this is like the weirdness with the Cooking Channel, is that it operates in this weird space where I think that they have this spin-off network but never really know what to do with it. They also acquired the primetime rights to the Martha Stewart show, so it also just does like Martha Stewart show reruns. Like, it's just a weird channel.
Yeah, very odd.
Yeah.
Aubrey, do you have a favorite YouTube cooking show?
I mean, I really like Adam Ragusia's cooking content.
I don't know who that is.
I love him. I think he's hot.
I'm looking him up right now.
He's hot in the way that men in academia can be hot sometimes. I'm going to say very firmly, I don't find men in academia attractive.
Aubrey's like, do not slide into my DMs, PhDs.
Do not get it twisted. I do not like men with PhDs, especially in psychology. However, Adam Ragusea was, I think, a journalism guy, and that's a different flavor.
Until 2020, Ragusea was a professor of journalism at Mercer University.
I also think that Kenji is super cute.
Oh, I love Kenji. And Kenji's recipes are really good, too. I love using Kenji's recipes.
I like Adam Ragusea because he gives me big Alton Brown vibes. You would probably like him a lot. His videos are very Good Eats adjacent.
Do you ever watch Try Guys Without a Recipe?
Yes, I do.
You ever watch Mythical Chef Josh?
Yes, I do. Josh is so attractive.
That's the reason, that's the reason the Mythical Food Channel, exists, is because, at first Josh was just, showing up in Rhett and Link videos. The reason he has a whole spin-off channel is because he is fine as hell. He's so sexy. That's why he has his own...
so sweet.
His own shit now. Yeah, of course. But it's because he's hot.
Yeah. No, he's insanely hot, and here's the thing. Fat boys, I love you. Fat boys, I love you exactly as you are, and you never have to lose weight to be sexy in my eyes. I'm saying this. Never forget it, fat boys who are listening. But when fat boys lose weight and become more conventionally attractive, that is a gift to the whole world who doesn't recognize that fat boys are sexy just how they are. Because a fat boy who becomes conventionally attractive is operating at a better personality than pretty much the majority of conventionally attractive men.
I am in such a state of shock hearing Aubrey say that.
Why?
Aubrey's body shaming people.
I am not body What I am saying is that fat boys are sexy, but when fat boys lose a bunch of weight and become conventionally attractive, they have better personalities than men who are just born conventionally attractive.
Yes, of course, because they had to develop a personality.
But don't get it twisted, fat boys. I love you just how you are, and you don't gotta change for nobody.
Who in this scenario are you? Why did you bring this up?
I don't know.
I was like, was Josh fat?
Josh from Good Mythical Morning was.
Oh, he was. That's why you brought this up.
Oh, yeah. All right. There's a method. There's a method to the
We're cooking shit. We're on Food Network.
So, in December 2007, the New York Times business section published an article on the end of Emeril Lagasse's show, Emeril Live, and quoted Brooke Johnson, who was the president. Quick side note, I'm pretty sure every Food Network CEO since Erica Gruen has been a woman, which is kind of cool. So Brooke Johnson, who's the president, says that Emeril Lagasse remains a valued member of the Food Network family. Derek Bain, senior analyst at the media research firm SNL Kagan, is reported to have commented, "It's not surprising that people move on. They pay almost nothing for the people as they are building their careers. That's been their strategy all along." The article also comments on the declining popularity of the Food Network, whose daily ratings were reported to have fallen to an average of 544,000 people from 580,000 a year earlier. It noted, more significant, its signature weekend block of instructional programs, known collectively as In the Kitchen, has lost 15% of its audience in the last year to 830,000 viewers on average. So basically, in 2007, the Food Network is owing refunds, known as make goods, to advertisers. They're in a bad spot. Fine Living Channel... Oh, okay, so my bad. So I think I misspoke earlier. I said that Cooking Channel premiered in 2002. It premiered as that Fine Living Channel in 2002, but it doesn't rebrand to the Cooking Channel until 2010. The reason for that is because of the Great Recession and a severe decline in American personal income and spending that effectively stunted the Fine Living Network from any further ratings or program expansion. So that's when they rebrand it to being a spinoff. But yeah, everything else that I said before was correct. It had a lot of B shows of the Food Network people. So like Emeril Lagasse had a really short show on the Cooking Channel that was like Emeril's Fresh Food Fast. Rachel Ray had Week in a Day. Bobby Flay had Brunch at Bobby's, which were like very short versions of their instructional cooking shows. So yeah, it was basically just like fast and easy versions of Food Network stuff, then like the foreign stuff, and then also random travel related content. So this is where I'm kind of leaving us with the timeline for now. So the important thing to remember is that it's about like 2000, like late 2000s. We're in like 2008, 2009. Food Network is on the decline. Ratings are falling. There's about to be some conflict with some of their most profitable talent, and conflict is on the horizon, and they basically need a new golden goose to keep the network afloat. And that's going to come in the form of a man with frosted tips.
I have no idea who you could be referring to, Aubrey. There's so many men with frosted tips on the Food Network. Every single one of them, in fact.
We're going to be going on a trip to Flavor Town, is what I'll say.
I can't wait to talk about Marcus Samuelsson.
Anyway, so speaking of Marcus Samuelsson, that brings us to our next topic of discussion, which is the TV show Chopped. Chopped is a long-running anchor of the Food Network. It is a reality-based cooking television game show hosted by Ted Allen of Queer Eye, as we've discussed earlier.
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I didn't know that was his start until I saw modern Queer Eye. I also didn't know that Ted Allen was gay until I was probably like 18.
I never considered Ted Allen's sexuality when watching him on Chopped. I was like, that's just Ted.
He is to me, he was a bit of a, I don't want to say sexless because I feel like that sounds insulting. I just viewed him as like a like alien creature who was birthed in a lab. He was never a child. He was produced to be the host of Chopped.
Aubrey hates gay people and thinks they're all aliens.
I can't stand them. They're all sexless to me. I'm not one of them at all.
I think more for me, it was less that and less that I thought Ted Allen was an alien, and more that, like, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but that there is this certain level of like metrosexuality, and I am planning to do a full episode on what that actually means at some point. Yeah. There is a certain level of metrosexuality amongst like most of the men on the Food Network that like Ted didn't like really stand out from the bunch as like clearly gay. Mm-hmm. And I also think that like, but like what's also really cool about that is I feel like so many gay men on TV shows during that time had to fit into a very specific stereotype and a very specific like way of being and presenting themselves. Mm-hmm. And like Ted was just kind of a guy and didn't really fall into any of those tropes. He was just being himself, which is how the vast majority of gay people actually are. Mm-hmm. And so, also say, no freedom till we're equal. Damn right, I support it.
I mean, it reminds me of, I've been watching a lot of Will and Grace lately, and it is really interesting to think about depictions of gay men in this period in the 2000s. Will and Grace, by the way, a show about a gay man who is played by a straight man.
Who's on it? I don't know anything about Will and Grace. Who's on that show?
The main actor in Will and Grace is named Eric McCormack, and he is a straight man. He definitely is just like a metrosexual vibe. He is, to his credit, a really supportive ally of the gay community, and pretty much has been since he was cast in Will and Grace. I think that maybe at the time that Will and Grace came out, I don't think that they thought that it would be a marketable show if the gay man in the show was actually played by a gay man. Sean Hayes, who is gay, plays Jack, who's supporting...
I think I always assumed that Sean Hayes was Will. I guess because I've never seen it, I was like, well, Sean Hayes plays Will because he's gay.
No, so the premise is you have Will and Grace who are like best friends. Will is a lawyer and he's a normal guy, quote unquote. And then he's contrasted by Jack, who's played by Sean Hayes, who's much more flamboyant. Although never to the point of caricature. I actually love the character of Jack on Will and Grace. I think he's super well-rounded and like very well written. There's a reason why Will and Grace won a fuck ton of Emmys. I think that it's a really fascinating show in how it was so controversial at the time, but the show itself is quite banal. Like, there's really not a lot of, like, controversy in the show itself, other than that the characters are gay, and I think that that's kind of interesting. It makes me wish that it pushed the envelope more, but I also understand. Couldn't. Yeah, like I understand going for a more like milquetoast kind of portrayal, because that's getting the foot in the door of mainstream America seeing that they're just like us.
Yeah.
So that's just what this conversation reminds me of. If anyone ever wants to hear me say more things about Will and Grace, shoot us an email and maybe we'll do an episode on it. So Chopped is a show that pits 4 chefs against each other as they compete for a chance to win $10,000. The series debuted in 2009.
That's crazy that it's only $10,000.
Only 10, and it's never changed.
Yeah, it's just always been $10,000.
It was $10,000, which is way more money in 2009. Look up the inflation rate. Like, what is $10,000 2009 to now?
2009, $10,000.
It's like, have you noticed that all modern TV shows, the main prize isn't $1 million anymore? It's always $250,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's nothing.
So $10,000 in 2009 is worth $14,000 today.
Okay, I mean, that's not, like, extremely different, but still, less purchasing power.
Yeah.
Chopped airs every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on the Food Network. There are currently, well, actually, Mackenna, I want you to guess. How many episodes of Chopped do you think there are?
Started airing in what year?
2009.
And how often does it go on the air?
Every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
650.
No, there are 749 episodes of Chopped and 39 specials.
I wasn't that far off. 650 wasn't that far off.
You fucking donkey, go back to school and learn to do math.
I could have sat there for longer and actually tried to do the math all the way, but I just estimated. I was like, well, so it's about 16 years. Oh, I should have gone a little bit higher than I did. I was like, it's about 16 years, and 10 times 52 is 520, and then I just added like 100.
Amazing. So in each episode, 4 chefs compete in a 3-round contest where they attempt to incorporate unusual combinations of ingredients into dishes that are later evaluated by a panel of 3 judges. At the beginning of each round, typically this is the appetizer, entree, and dessert round, but with occasional exceptions, the chefs are given a basket containing 4 mystery ingredients and are expected to create dishes that use all of them in some way.
Can I say that on episodes of Chopped, where people leave the mystery ingredients out and still make it to the next round, it infuriates me. It literally infuriates me when that happens. Because I'm like, there's one fucking rule, which is that you use all of the mystery basket ingredients, and when someone makes it through who didn't use all the mystery basket ingredients, and someone who used all the mystery basket ingredients, but whose food was worse, doesn't, I go, well, then what's the point of the basket?
I literally watched a season 1 episode of Chopped where that happens for the first time, and the judges debate amongst themselves because they literally say, we're setting the precedent for judging for the rest of the show, and they let the guy go through because his dish was better.
800 episodes in. There's one fucking rule, and it's that you use the mystery basket ingredients. Also, everyone needs to stop trying to use the ice cream machine, and they need to stop trying to use CO2. They need to stop it. Every time I watch an episode where someone's trying to do like the liquid gastronomy, whatever, or they're trying to use the ice cream machine, it always blows up in their face. And did you never watch the show before you went on the show? Did you not know that those things never work?
But it's gonna be different when I do it, because I'm better than other people.
No! No!
My major pet peeve with Chopped is I hate that they call the first round the appetizer round, because no one ever makes an appetizer.
No.
You should just call it small plate, large plate, dessert.
Yeah, it's the first course. It is technically it is a coursed meal that they are making, but it's not an appetizer. It is a first course.
They never make an actual appetizer, and I don't know why that pisses me off so much, but it does.
Because we grew up in the suburbs, which means that we grew up with Chili's and Applebee's, and we know what an appetizer sampler platter looks like, okay?
Well, it's just like, you can't make pasta in the first round, and everyone's like, ooh, that's a delicious appetizer. That is not an appetizer. That is an entree. If you are serving a small portion of it, fine, it's a small plate, but that's a small plate.
Anyways, Chopped, we're canceling you for getting your words wrong. The woke mob is coming for you. Get your language right. Stop misgendering and dead naming appetizers, okay?
Each round has a time limit, typically 20 minutes for the appetizer round, and 30 minutes each for the entree and dessert round. 20 minutes is also a crazy low amount of time.
Insane.
Like, I would spend 18 minutes deciding.
You can't cook rice in that amount of time.
No. These limits have been extended on occasion for special format episodes and for rounds in which one or more of the mystery ingredients require additional preparation or cooking time. The chefs must cook their dishes and complete 4 platings, 3 for the judges and 1 beauty plate before time runs out, and no, Ted Allen does not get to eat any of it.
Let Ted eat.
Let him have a plate. Give him a bite. Although failing to use an ingredient is not an automatic disqualification, the judges do take such omissions into account when making their decisions. Basically, this is like what...
Incorrect! Boo!
That's the thing, like, if you forget a mystery ingredient but your dish is really good, they'll let you through. So if you forget a mystery ingredient, honestly, unless you fuck up really bad, they're usually just gonna let you through.
Which is crazy, because then what is the point of the mystery ingredients if they don't all have to be there?
Yeah. So the ingredients are things that are often not commonly prepared together. You know, it'll be something like canned sardines, clementines, spray cheese.
I'm gonna look up craziest Chopped baskets.
If I were to come up with a Chopped basket, my ingredients would be Clamato, Pepto-Bismol, used Band-Aid, and bong water.
Okay. This
fucking
is a good
make
one.
Something.
This is a good one. For the entree round, the cooks were given a platter of whole suckling pig, red and white kebab sauces, corn tortillas, and fiddlehead ferns.
Easy, just make tacos.
Hot dog enthused cooks were given alpaca hot dogs, sauerkraut, carrot ketchup, and pate.
Okay, I'm making like a Chicago dog.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one more. Are you ready?
These are instantaneous, by the way. No cuts.
A fried chicken flavored Bloody Mary, bubble blossoms, star pasta, and cola nut syrup.
You know, I'm probably going to make some kind of like stir fry saucy noodle, kind of like a pad thai situation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can go on Chopped right now. However, you don't want you don't want me in a room with the Chopped judges. No, because I might. Depending on the combination of judges, I could be ferally horny. So each chef has their own stations for preparing and cooking food, and the general kitchen also includes a variety of specialized tools and equipment for the chef's use, such as a deep fryer, a blast chiller, and the dreaded ice cream machine.
Never use the ice cream machine! As
Mackenna has referenced, it is memed in the Food Network fan community that the ice cream machine is typically a surefire way to end your run on Chopped.
I'm just like, yes, obviously it makes sense that you're like, oh, I need to make a quick dessert with a bunch of weird shit. Let me put it into an ice cream. But you have 30 fucking minutes. It's like, what is the expectation here? They do it on Cutthroat Kitchen too, where they try to do ice cream on Cutthroat Kitchen. And I'm like, everyone step away from the ice cream machine. Make a fucking cake. Or not even a cake. Make I don't know what I mean. The dessert round is one that scares me the most, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with the ice cream machine is that you have to get your ice cream in within like 5 minutes of the round starting for you to have a real shot.
Yes, and if you can't, because they never can, then it's a nightmare.
Yeah. So the chefs are given unlimited access to a pantry and a refrigerator stocked with a wide variety of other ingredients, and before each round begins, they are allowed to preheat their ovens and boil pots of water on their stovetops as a time-saving measure. So you have 30 minutes, but they're not going to make you use that time to wait for a pot of water to boil. Once the time has expired, the judges critique the dishes based on presentation, taste, and creativity, and they select one chef to be chopped, which means they are eliminated from the competition with no winnings. What happens is that Ted Allen reveals the judges' decisions by lifting a cloche to show the eliminated chef's dish, and one judge comments on the reasoning behind the choice.
Not to flex, but cloche means bell in French.
The appetizer and entree rounds are judged independently from one another, and the dessert round is where the judges are supposed to consider the overall performance of the entire competition.
Which I do appreciate. It does drive me insane sometimes because there have been episodes where, like, someone's dessert is a flop, but their other two were really good. And they're like, but their other two were so good, they have to win. I'm like, yeah, but their dessert sucked.
That's why you're supposed to judge them all together and not judge the last one based on dessert alone.
No, but the other person did a good job. The other person didn't use the fucking ice cream machine. They deserve to win.
The winner receives $10,000, like I said, but special competitions and tournaments have featured larger cash prizes. Chefs must be at least 19 years or older to appear on the regular show. Teenagers and children are occasionally invited to compete in special episodes. I will say that these episodes always suck ass, and I always skip them.
No, I love the kids' episodes. They're so good.
I hate them.
I love the kids. They're always, like, really good at it, and it's crazy, and it's so impressive.
Developmental psychologist, is going to say, I hate children. I hate watching them on my TV.
Oh, I love them. And oh my God, I love, like, MasterChef Junior. I love when they're tiny. They're so talented.
I have no desire to watch a child cook. I don't know. I just find it infuriating. Get off my TV. I want to see some grown-ups in the kitchen.
It's because you're jealous because they're better cooks than you. This is envy, Aubrey, and you need to work on that.
I will just continue to skip their episodes when they come up.
They're babies.
Occasionally I will watch them and I'm like, oh, they're trying.
They're not just trying, they're succeeding. There are often times where I watch one of the episodes with, like, kids on it and I'm like, oh, they're actually doing a better job than most of the adults because they're just having fun and they're not, like, cutting their finger off in the kitchen like half of the adults do.
There are some spin-offs of Chopped. A dessert-themed spin-off titled Chopped Sweets premiered on February 3rd, 2020, with Scott Conant as the host. What's interesting is that there's an unaired pilot episode to Chopped, which was apparently much more elaborate than the Chopped that we have now. It was set in a mansion. The host was a butler, played by Christopher Flockton, who's the narrator of VH1's The Fabulous Life. The butler held a chihuahua, and when the chef was chopped, the losing dish was fed to the chihuahua. It gives very VH1 vibes, and it is so different from what Chopped ended up being. The only thing I can imagine is that it was pitched by people who were like, we need to capitalize on reality TV. And Chopped was basically like, we like the premise, we're gonna keep this basic premise, but just do it like a normal show.
It's like, did they not learn anything from the whole fine living thing where, like, no one liked that? Like, we want to see people in the kitchen, like, it's like, we want to see, it goes back to the thing, like, it's about the food. It's not about, like, even on Chopped, where it's, like, the shit's crazy, like, it is still ultimately about the food, and, like, I really think that, like, the only, like, on-set competition show that really works is Guys Grocery Games, because, all the other ones just kind of happen in kitchens, because it's, like, it's about the food and the cooking, it's not about the, like, chihuahuas.
Yeah. An episode of Chopped takes approximately 12 hours to tape, and deliberations after each round take about 20 minutes. This floored me because, I don't know, as somebody who doesn't work in production, I assume that you were filming 3 episodes of Chopped a day.
No.
But absolutely not. I'm a fool. Judging is done by a consensus amongst the judges. It's not always a unanimous decision. Sometimes the judges will be like, this was not unanimous, but we just went with 2 out of 3 who said this person should win.
And that's why there's 3 judges instead of 2 or 4.
Yeah. Medical personnel are present in the studio to treat any injuries sustained by the chefs and may, at their discretion, disqualify a chef who appears unable to continue safely in the competition. If a chef is disqualified, the judges don't chop any of the others in that round, but they do critique their dishes as part of the overall evaluation. I can't recall an episode where someone has been medically disqualified, but I'm assuming that it's happened because I found information stating this.
I can't remember where someone gets disqualified. I can remember episodes where someone, like, bled into a dish.
Yeah.
And like they have refused to eat it. And I wonder if that's like a form of the medical disqualification. But like I can't think of one where like actually, oh, I'm having like a weird memory of one where like they made someone stop. But I like can't, it's like there. I think it was a burn maybe, like it wasn't they cut themselves, it was like they burned themselves.
I'd believe that.
Yeah, I don't totally remember. This is, me trying to remember something that I watched when I was like 12.
Yeah. My next note was about the contamination thing. So if the judges consider a dish to be unsafe to eat for any reason, like contamination by blood or any other bodily fluids, they do not taste the dish, but at their discretion, they still may evaluate it on presentation and creativity. Early Chopped, they were sassy as fuck about this. Yeah. There's such a contrast between early Chopped and later Chopped, because early Chopped, the judges make a big thing to check the egos of all the competitors. So if somebody, like, even if they cooked well, but they didn't clean their station, or if they did something the judges don't like, they would just chop them based on that. Or, like, if they thought that they had attitude.
Listen, they were petty, they were savage, and now we have to be nice to people.
Yeah.
We didn't have to be nice until, like, 2015.
So we're going to now talk about the 9 core judges of Chopped who have been there since season 1. And what I'd like to do is I would like to rank who I consider in order the 9 Chopped judges, in order from least hot to most hot.
I'll caveat this with Aubrey thinks everyone is hot. So these are all hot people, just, from least to most within a group of already hot people.
Yeah, everyone is hot. I even find my number 9, Chris Santos, to have an allure to him. However, Chris Santos is number 9 on the list because he is quite literally the embodiment of evil. So...
What?
Here's the thing. Scott Conant gets unfairly maligned as being the evil one because he hates Red Onion. And yes, he gets bitchy sometimes. He was a little cunty in the early seasons, but in recent years, he's a lot softer, he's a lot kinder, he's hosting Chopped Sweets. Chris Santos, there was an episode of Chopped where a competitor cuts themselves, and Chris Santos looks at the final dish that they prepared, and he goes, I know you cut yourself, but your eyes still work, though. So I don't know why this dish looks like this.
His wife's last name is Mackenna, that's funny. What I know about Chris Santos is that he has a restaurant in New York called Beauty in Essex. I've never been there. If anyone who lives in New York wants to tell me if Beauty in Essex is good, let me know, and I'll go. But it's like $100, so I need to know that it's good before I go.
Better yet, pay for us to go, and I will revise my list and move Scott. No. And I will move Chris Santos to the top.
He just does. Does Chris Santos still have the little soul patch?
I think he does.
Chris.
I think Chris Santos, so we did a little bit of outreach to see what other people's opinions were on the Chopped judges. I will say, I think Chris Santos was the only person who nobody ranked at number 1. Every other judge, everyone else put at number 1.
Let me look. I think there's one other. No, it was just Chris.
Yeah. Number 8 on my list is Amanda Freitag. Amanda Freitag is...
Fascinating.
Here's the thing. Amanda Freitag is an attractive woman. This is not me saying Amanda Freitag is unattractive. However, I find Amanda Freitag to be incredibly forgettable, to the point where I watch Chopped basically every night before bed, and I had to Google what Amanda Freitag looks like.
Oh, I know what Amanda looks like. Amanda's the blonde one. The women, I can, like, know what they look like, because I'm like, oh, because Amanda's the blonde one.
She's blonde, but she's blend. She's blend to me. No flavor. She's probably great at cooking. I think she's lovely, probably nice to be around. However, it does not... She has been chopped from this list. Number 7 is Mark Murphy. I want to say really quickly that Mark Murphy is not an unattractive man, but he is simply useless. His thing is that he cooks Italian food. I have no doubt that Mark Murphy is a really great guy, and I think he's good at cooking because there's an episode of Chopped where all the judges compete, and I was like, Mark Murphy's gonna be out round one. And Mark Murphy makes it to the end, and he gets glazed the entire time. Like, every single dish he makes, the chefs are like, oh my god, Mark, you did it again. Mark, you're just the fucking king of the kitchen. And it's like, he makes like a fucking like caprese salad. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck am I missing out on?
Hey. Sometimes simple food can be really good. And sometimes you don't need a bunch of bells and fucking whistles to make your food good. Sometimes it can just be a caprese salad and it's delicious, okay?
I mean, I think that that's Mark Murphy's whole thing, is that he makes simple, delicious meals. And it's like, sure, I guess.
Good for you, Mark. Hey, Mark, I'm defending you. I'm not gonna rank these judges, and so I'm just gonna sit here and defend all of them. Mark, I believe in you.
Again, I think Mark Murphy is I want to say
very handsome.
Everyone on this list is objectively attractive. Like, Mark Murphy, I find legitimately attractive. Yes. I would be. This is the point in the list where if they talk to me, I'm gonna start getting flustered.
Yeah.
Number 6 on the list is Scott Conant, who again, unfairly maligned. He hates red onions. He hates apples. But you know what? He wears sassy little sweaters now, and he's kind of ginger. I don't know. He's got kind of a smolder to him. I like his facial hair. There's just something kind of sexy about him.
I think Scott gives that he would be a little bit mean as like a man. But
in like a hot way.
That it would work for me.
Yeah.
that it would work for me. Like, he would bully me and I'd be like, thank you.
In a Jesse Eisenberg way.
Oh, what? No.
What?
No, Jesse, wait, what? What are you talking about?
Have you never seen that clip of Jesse Eisenberg? And he's like low-key kind of rizzing up the girl who is doing this interview with him, but she's so into it.
I've met Jesse Eisenberg in real life. I do not think him and Scott Conant have the same vibe at all.
No, you've got to see this interview I'm talking about.
I know exactly what interview clip you're talking about.
You don't think that that's how Scott Conant would be?
No, he would do it in like the capital M man like bullying way.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Where was Scott Conant born? If Scott Conant was born in a major metropolitan city, I'm right. If he was born in the Midwest, you're correct.
That doesn't make any sense.
All right, he was born in Waterbury,
He was born in Connecticut. He's going to be mean to you in the way that, like, hot, rich men are a little mean to you.
All right, you know what? I'll eat my words.
Cool. Bam! I'm always right. I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm a genius, and I understand men inherently because I both like them and I am one.
Scott Conant, come on the podcast and be mean to us. Number 5 on my list, and this is the part in the rankings, like, honestly, I mean, probably starting with Scott Conant, this is the part where it's actually difficult for me to start to rank them. My top 2 are legitimately painful, but starting with the top 5, it's really just a toss-up. So my number 5 is Marcus Samuelsson, and I'm gonna preface this. Marcus Samuelsson, I'm speaking directly to you. I had the best lobster roll of my entire life at your restaurant in Harlem. That alone makes you sexy. You are only 5 because the other Chopped judges are also super hot. I think you are one of the most beautiful men to straight up ever exist. Marcus Samuelsson is hot in a way that I can only describe as, like, otherworldly. Like, yeah, he's gorgeous. I feel like he would look at me, and if he looked into my eyes, he could read my soul. We have been to the restaurant that he has in Harlem, and it is very good.
It's very good.
Number 4 on the list is Maneet Chauhan, who, by the way, swept.
That is controversial to put Maneet this low. That is... Guys, when I'm telling you, I asked one of my friends this question. Most people got ranked 1 by one person. A couple people got ranked by 2 by one person. One person got ranked as number 1 by 3 people. Maneet got ranked as number 1 by 5 separate people.
Yeah, Maneet is absolutely certified cutie pie. She's so gorgeous. Her husband is a giant man. They were in a couples episode, and it was super entertaining because she's like 4 pounds, and he is just a giant hulking man.
I've never seen Vivek. Oh, he is huge.
Yeah. She is really, to me, she looks really, like, posh and elegant. I think she has really beautiful facial features. Like, I find her stunningly beautiful. She's only lower because I really like the personalities of my top 3, and that makes my top 3 more attractive to me. Maneet Chauhan, I think, legitimately is like model status in a way that my top 3 probably aren't, and I think that's why everyone that we talked to ranked her to be number 1.
Oh, she's so pretty. Love her. Love Maneet.
Yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous.
She's like also like to me like maybe the fairest judge. Like she just gives genuinely really good critique and isn't as focused on like being like entertaining on TV in that way. She has the most like daytime vibe of the late night hosts.
And I don't think she has a daytime show, which is crazy to me because I would love to watch her just like cooking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's really lovable. She's super sweet. She's my number 4. My number 3 is the queen, Alex Gornishelli. My reactions to this
I cannot believe that you ranked Alex above Maneet. I love Alex Gornishelli, but that is a wild take to me.
That is Momther. That's Mommy. Alex Gornishelli is thick as fuck. She has an amazing sense of humor. I think that she is down to clown. I think that me and Alex Gornishelli would be cracking up one second and making sweet love the next. I find her so attractive in a way that, like, I'm just gonna say it, she's hot in the way that Friends' moms are hot sometimes.
I see.
So
she's the executive chef of a restaurant in New York called Butter.
Just like Butters.
Yeah. Just like Butter. Aubrey's dog is the executive chef of a restaurant in New York.
Oh my god, could you imagine Butter in a little chef's hat?
Yeah, really cute.
Butter in a little chef's hat with a little coat. Little Chef Butters. She would tolerate a costume. So I'm going to say this right now. My top 2 were so difficult for me, and legitimately, I feel stress in my body.
I have quotes about both of them from Friends, so it's good. I got to save both the quotes for last.
Yeah, so this is legitimately hard, and I think I went back and forth up until 5 minutes before we started recording, but I have to go with what is in my heart. And
can I predict what you're gonna say?
I want you to make the prediction.
Are you gonna say Arona's number 2 and Jeffrey's number 1?
You got that exactly right, buddy.
Boom, baby! Boom!
So I just want to be clear. Spiritually, there are 2 winners, but Aron, you have been chopped. Aron Sanchez is hand tattoos, zaddy. When you watch Chopped at the beginning, you see a full arc of a man who only got hotter over time. Because in the first season of Chopped, he is straight up baby-faced, has acne scars, and you can see how he's young and hungry and trying to establish himself as an expert. And then he just turns into this, like, tatted, confident, sexy guy. Like, he's so hot.
I think Aron is, of all of them, the most hot in the way that, like, chefs are hot. You know what I mean? Like, he's the one who, like,
Absolutely.
looks the most, like, he looks like he could be on The Bear, and you'd be like, yeah, that's the guy on The Bear.
Exactly.
I will say my quote that I have from a friend of mine who I asked about all of the Chopped judges, my friend Davey, said, I have had so many dreams about Aron Sanchez.
I mean, it's so true. He's just such an attractive man. He's got a swagger to him. I am feral for Aron Sanchez. My number 1, though, is Jeffrey Zakarian, and I hate that he's my number 1.
Why?
Because I just know that Jeffrey Zakarian is a metrosexual man who has a wife who is like 3 decades younger than him. However, he is textbook definition silver fox. He is so fucking hot to me that I am like, I'm like gripping the table. I find him so fucking attractive. He
does have a really young wife.
Is just, like, he's refined, he's an expert. He also has insanely good politics. That was actually what pushed him to my number 1, is he has made a lot of statements about, like, against Donald Trump. I think he was supposed to have a restaurant that had some affiliation with Trump, and then he was like, nah, fuck this, I'm shutting this shit down, and I think he lost a bunch of money. I'm paraphrasing that situation really badly, but that just goes to say, I read something about Jeffrey Zakarian's politics and was like, man, that's some good shit right there. I think he has a charisma to him that is so effortless. I love the sound of his laugh. I just think, like, I want to just sit on a rooftop bar, drinking bubbly champagne, sipping on some oysters, looking out into the distance, and then turning my head and seeing Jeffrey Zakarian sitting across from me.
I will read what happened with what Aubrey was referring to. So in 2015, Zakarian withdrew from a planned concept restaurant called The National in the Trump Hotel in D.C. in the wake of controversial comments made by Donald Trump about undocumented immigrants. And he said that, basically Zakarian said that, like, Trump doesn't align with his values. We're a nation built from immigrants, Zakarian's family included. He lost a bunch of money in the lease deposit, and Trump also sued Zakarian for $10 million, and it was settled out of court. My friend Greta said, I have always loved Jeffrey Zakarian. Something about his attitude always did it for me. I think he has the same thing that Samuel Tucci has. I'll be honest. I think that to me is like the same brand of man.
Yeah. He looks like a romance novel protagonist to me. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, he's just...
I don't agree with that one, but I do think he's handsome.
To me, like, my entire life, when I've wished that I could get the attention of an older man, it is a man exactly like Jeffrey Zakarian who I have wished to attract. Like, just someone who's, like, older, and you know he likes to go to museums. I want him. I feel like he smells good. I just want to take a bite out of him in a sexual way.
Okay. All right.
This is very sexual. I want to see what he looks like naked.
Okay. I'll say that I'm of the people. I am the people's princess, and Manit is my number one. So that is as far as I'll say.
All right. I mean, do you want to see her naked though?
No.
Then I don't even know what we're doing here.
Okay.
I feel like I should also state that I am making these rankings and what is hopefully very clear meant to be in good fun. I find all of these judges very attractive. I don't think that it's right to judge people based on appearance. I am just expressing, like, my personal attraction to these people in a way that is hopefully interpreted as being lighthearted. So,
but also Aubrey hates Chris Santos and wants him to die.
I think Chris Santos is fundamentally evil. That being said, I think that he has an allure. Chris Santos is my Bobby Flay.
Sure.
Like, I
also don't like Chris as a judge on Chopped.
Chris Santos, you're not an enemy of the pod. That's reserved for men who have been convicted of terrible crimes. However, well,
I don't think Bobby Flay has.
I don't think, but I said earlier Bobby Flay is not an enemy.
You're right. You're right. Just mine enemy.
They're just on the shit list.
Okay.
So we have enemies, and then we have people on the shit list, and, you know, Chris Santos, Bobby Flay, you guys are on the shit list, but, you know, there are ways to get off of it. They include coming on and talking to us about your fundamental sexual experiences.
No.
Tell me about the first time it ever twitched, and then we'll...
No! Absolutely not! Oh, God. They're never gonna let you, for sure, but now me, near the Food Network.
Was that your plan for the spinoff?
Yes.
That we're gonna pivot into being food content creators?
Well, maybe, but it would be on YouTube.
All right, well... You know what? Maybe eventually we'll launch our successful cooking/baking show, and, you know, get some good sponsorships. Maybe get featured on the Food Network Snapchat.
Okay, great.
So
thank God, you know how much I love Snapchat influencers.
So that's all I've got for this episode. So, you know, just to wrap it up, the Food Network has
Aubrey
origins.
I do think, and several people said this to me, that it is offensive that you did not include Ted in your rankings. It is offensive to Ted Allen, and I just want to say that Aubrey has talked a lot of shit about Ted seeming like he was an alien from another planet. Ted, I think you're handsome, I think you're smart, and I'm sure you treat all of your partners very well, and Aubrey's views on you do not reflect my views on you.
Do you want me to be controversial? If I'm ranking Ted, I'm putting him above Manit.
That's insane. That's insane. Aubrey, your takes here are... Guys, Aubrey said I find Channing Tatum attractive. Why are we listening to her?
Because I am right about everything, and I always have been.
No, that's my thing.
You know, everyone's welcome here. We really just want everyone to feel like they belong. So, just to wrap it up, you know, I talked today about the origins of the Food Network. We talked about Chopped. We talked about the judges of Chopped and sort of the allure of Chopped judges. I mean, my only real kind of wrap up to synthesize Chopped is basically what I said at the beginning, which is that I think the women on the Food Network in general have a presentation that's much more down to earth, whereas the men are typically much more stylized. I think that Chopped represents an era of like metrosexuality, very like New York influence in like how the judges are presented. And what I think is interesting is that when we start to get into the next era that I'm going to talk about in the next episode, we really see this fundamental shift in the Food Network that goes away from this more refined aesthetic to something that is, as a whole, more down to earth. And I think that that's interesting. I think that modern Food Network is particularly interesting because it really is very diverse now in a way that doesn't feel particularly try-hard. And I think that that's kind of cool for a media network to just kind of embrace diversity in that way. Is it the best? No. Do they actually ever say anything about like the politics of food and culture, like about appropriation or food deserts? No, never. But it's entertainment television, and I think the fact that it shifted from being overly predominantly white to being incredibly diverse now is quite good. So, I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts when it comes to stuff we've talked about today and like appearance, attraction things?
Aubrey, I've got 2 words for you to deny your entire point about women on the Food Network. And those 2 words are Anne Burrell.
Oh my god, I had a whole note about Anne Burrell for the next episode.
We're gonna get to all of our frosted tip kings and queens next episode.
Bye.
Bye. Have a question or a topic that you would like for us to discuss? Send us an email at informedattraction@gmail.com.